And we have a start in the A final of the under-23 women's coxless pair race, 242. Lane 1, Melbourne University. Lane 2, Mercantile. Lane 3, the West Australian Rowing Club and Swan River. Lane 4, the University of Technology, Sydney. Lane 5, Sydney University. Lane 6, also Sydney University. Lane 7, Griffith University, Surfers Paradise. And Lane 8, a third crew from the Sydney University Boat Club. We've had a double change in the commentary box, and to bring in the next race, it's Ben Homer.
Thanks, Richard. Good morning. A fascinating few finals that we've already had down this morning, and now the start of the under-23 women's coxless pair. Last year, it was the Uni of WA and Western Australia Rowing Club, combined with the Western Australian Institute of Sport, which got the job done. It was Georgia Patton and Bronwyn Cox not in this event. So it'll be a new champion in 2018. Looking forward to seeing how this one unfolds. And they're about 90 seconds in, so closing in on that 500-metre timing point. We'll get a good look at who is ahead. And currently, it seems to be the crew in lane 5, Tara Rigney and Dione Bettiger, coached by Alfie Young. They're looking good through this opening 500. Here are the splits. So they're going to go through in 1:46.98. Rigney and Bettiger from Sydney University. Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise in second. Smith and Scott. And then Martinchich and Reed in third. That's the UTS boat. Also connected with the New South Wales Institute of Sport. So a couple of New South Wales crew and a Queensland crew in there. And they're looking good. And then the WA Rowing Club Swan River crew in fourth place, looking to win a couple of years in a row if Western Australia Rowing Club can get up, Richard, but Sydney Uni best placed at the moment.
Yeah, Sydney Uni looking good there in lane 5. Ben, 3 crews in this race from Sydney University. Strong representation, but that lane 5 combination of Rigney and Bettiger certainly doing best in the middle stages now. Alongside them too in lane 7, Lukey Smith and Jess Scott, the Griffith University Surfers Paradise clubs that are successful career here at Nationals the past 3 years, originally with the St Hilda's School on the Gold Coast, now rowing, of course, for the Griffith University Club. They'd be about a half length or so back in second place at this stage.
Yeah, so Sydney crews are plenty, as Richard just mentioned, and you'd expect one of them to be up there, and Bettiger and Rigney are certainly that. Second place, as I mentioned, Smith and Scott, that crew from Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise, Leakey Smith and Jess Scott, coached by Lincoln Handley. And then in third at the moment, Martinchich and Nicola Martinchich and Grace Reed, coached by David Geely, Hallie Chapman and Alex Field from the UTS Rowing Club, combined with the New South Wales Institute of Sport. And they're looking good at the moment with just a few metres to travel until they hit that halfway point in this race. You can see plenty of bikes following this one down the race, this Australian Championship. No B final in this race. It's the A final, and gold, silver and bronze up for grabs here. And there are a few changes from the times we saw at the 500-metre mark. Rigney and Bettiger are in first. Martinchich and Reed have moved up into second. They were in third. And then WA Rowing Club into fourth, that combined with Swan River, that WA club. Lisa Franklin from the Swan River Rowing Club and Olivia Jones from Western Australia Rowing Club. So a chance that WA Rowing Club could get a spot on the dais for a second year in a row. It was Georgia Patton who was their representative with Bronwyn Cox from the University of WA Boat Club last year. So looking good at the moment. The crew from Western Australia and Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise, maybe they went out a little too hard in the opening 500, Richard, because they've fallen back to fourth.
They have indeed over there in lane 7. The crews in the centre lane starting to make their presence felt, as often we see in these seeded finals. Of course, the higher ranked crews from the earlier rounds of racing. I think it was just heat straight to a repechage for this particular event. And our top 2 seeded crews, lanes 5 and 4, Sydney Uni and UTS. The centre lanes would be sitting first and second, and the West Australians in 3. And that Queensland combination in lane 7 still has the crews either side of them covered, but will have their work cut out for a medal now, it would seem.
Yes, so we're entering the last 750 metres. You can see the 1250 mark at the top of screen. And this is the point where the race is really won or lost. And you can see a lift from lane 3, the WA Rowing Club Composite, West Australia and Swan River, Franklin and Jones, coached by Mark Beer and Joseph Tamigi. So really good chance for them to pull back the crew from Sydney. and they're doing a decent job of it at the moment. Next to them in lane 4, that UTS boat. So those three look as though they are going to be fighting it out for the medals. And you can see lane 7 now just moving up Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise. They started the race quite strongly in the opening 500 metres. They're now 3.42 seconds outside the medals. But the gap between second and third is so tight, 0.18 seconds. So expect that one to go right down to the wire. Rigney and Bettiger are up there, 5:32.51, still in first place. They've led from the opening timing point up to this point now. Can they hang on inside the last 300 metres now? You can see 1,750 metres are approaching. And it's the Sydney Cruise 1 and 2 at the moment. Sydney University and UTS Rowing Club, the Cruise from New South Wales, WA Rowing Club, and Swan River 3rd, Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise 4th, Mercantile 5th, then a couple of Sydney Uni boats 6th and 7th, and Melbourne Uni in 8th. But here we go. They're into the last 200 metres, and I tell you what, it's so tight between those top three, Richard.
Yeah, great finish coming up here, Ben. The medalists have been decided, I think, but the order yet to be sorted out. Sydney Uni and UTS side by side in the middle lanes there, and the West Australians not giving up the chase here in the closing strokes. Just over 100 metres now to go.
Well, can Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise pull anything back? It looks as though it's going to be very difficult, but it was Sydney University who have led from start to close enough to the finish, but UTS could be coming to get them. WA Rowing Club and the Swan River Composite may have spent their bickies, but UTS most certainly haven't, and Sydney Uni are gamefully trying to hold them off with about 50 metres to travel. What a fight back this would be from UTS. It's Sydney Uni just trying to hold on, and they are going to do so as they increase the lead just towards the line, and they are the Australian champions. From start to finish they led. UTS challenged. They couldn't quite get there. They take silver, and WA Rowing Club and Swan River take bronze. What a finish in the under-23 women's coxless pair A final. Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise 4th, Mercantile 5th, and 3 University Crews 6th to 8th.
Yeah, what a finish indeed there, Ben. Sydney University unofficially first place in the under-23 women's coxless pair final ahead of the University of Technology Sydney. Third place, West Australian Rowing Club and Swan River, followed by Griffith University, Surfers Paradise, then Mercantile, Sydney Uni lane 8, Melbourne Uni, and Sydney Uni lane 6, 7:26.14. The unofficial time across the line there for our winners from Sydney University, and they won it in the end by 0.75, 3/4 of a second, but it was close in the closing strokes. The presentation of medals for the Under-23 Men's Single Scull Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Mr. Ian Wright, head coach of the Reinhold Bocce Men's National Training Centre. In third place, and bronze medalist, representing the Griffith University Surfers Paradise Rowing Club, Jackson Free. Jackson is coached by his father, Marcus Free. In second place, and silver medalist from the Capital Lakes Rowing Club, Harry Glacken. Harry is coached by Nick Garrett. The gold medalist and Australian champion for 2019 from the Griffith University Surfers Paradise Rowing Club and the Queensland Academy of Sport, Cormac Kennedy Leverett. Cormac is also coached by Marcus Free. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions and medalists.
So we've got the B final on the course at the moment in the under-23 men's coxless pair. Sydney lane 3, Canned in lane 4, Swan River in lane 5, and Sydney Uni in lane 6, who are just coming down the course at the moment as we see the start list, Richard, of this final in the same event.
Yes, the A final is also underway. Ben, the under-23 men's coxless pair, as we look back down the course. Lane 1, Melbourne University. Lane 2, Mercantile and the Victorian Institute of Sport. Lane 3 is Melbourne University and the University of Technology, Sydney. Lane 4, Commercial and Toowong Composite Crew. Lane 5, Sydney University. Lane 6, the Sydney Rowing Club. Lane 7, also the Sydney Rowing Club. And Lane 8, Adelaide and Mercantile.
And in this final, you can see we're coming up to that opening 500-metre timing chip in the under-23 men's coxless pair final. The current title holder is Sydney University and NSwiss, the combined crew last year, and they'll be looking to make it through as we see this B final just finishing in front of us, and crossing the line in first is the Cairn crew of Logan Ulrich and Miller Rowe. Bower and James in second, and Miles and Brooking finish in third place. So just 3 in this final. We had a scratching from the other crew from Sydney Rowing Club, O'Connell and McDonald. So can take out first place in that B final. As we take you back to the under-23 men's coxless pair A final. And the times through the first 500, Britt and O'Shannessy. Now these two, Marcus Britt and Will O'Shannessy, won gold in the under-21 event last year. Now they're stepping up to the under-23 event, and they've started strong. Lavery and Lavery from Melbourne University currently sitting in second place, and then Apple and Backer from Commercial and Toowong Rowing Clubs connected with the Queensland Academy of Sport in the bronze medal position at the moment. Mercantile in fourth, Hooper and Canham, Crouch and Kench from Sydney, and NSwiss in fifth place currently. So very tight through the opening 500, and you can look, Britt O'Shannessy, as I mentioned, won gold in the under-23. Apple and Backer. Elliot Apple finished 7th last year with Tim Santon from Adelaide Rowing Club. So he's up there as well. But it's the Sydney University pair who are ahead at the 1K. It's very slight over the Melbourne University boat, Nick and Rowan Lavery. Melbourne University along with UTS and connected with NSwiss as well. So just 0.96 the difference between 1 and 2. Mercantile third, Commercial and Toowong in fourth. Richard, that is such a tight race. Probably the biggest gap between second and third, you'd say.
Yeah, close indeed. And Lizzie Chapman, who knows everything about rowing in Australia, and especially in New South Wales, has pointed out, it is the Lavery brothers in that Melbourne Uni UTS crew. Both Nick and Rowan Lavery, originally from Melbourne, but Nick Lavery has moved up to Sydney, now trains at the UTS club, and is also supported by the New South Wales Institute of Sport. His brother Rowan, still based in Melbourne, rowing for Melbourne University, and they're only a second or so of the race lead being set by the Sydney University combination on lane 5.
Well, isn't it great to steal a Victorian, Richard, and claim him as our own up here in New South Wales?
Done that before, I'm sure.
So Nick Lavery and Rowan Lavery doing quite well at the moment. Second place, just less than 1 second behind Marcus Britt and Will O'Shannessy, coached by Donald McLaughlin. And they're looking good at the moment, but tight as they approach the 1,500-metre timing chip. We'll get a good look at how they are placed. And then Hooper and Canham, they're in lane 2 as we currently sit. They are in third place, a little further back. So it's the top 2, quite tight at the moment. Mercantile a little further back in third as we get a better view now of the distances between the boats, and maybe they've just increased this lead. Britt and O'Shannessy, that third 500, they've really lifted it. 2.5 seconds back to the Lavery brothers, and then Hooper and Canham in third, Commercial and Toowong in fourth, and then it's quite tight down to 5th, 6th, Adelaide and Mercantile and Melbourne University. So all 8 crews very tightly matched, but at the front it's Britt and O'Shannessy doing it nicely currently.
Yeah, just starting to spread out a little ahead of the field, but good racing on the far side of the course there. Lanes 2 and 3 especially currently sitting in the bronze and silver medal positions respectively. The lane 1 combination from Melbourne Uni out there as well. So the action happening on the far side of the course as far as the minor medals are concerned, but Sydney University continue to lead here. Britt and O'Shannessy in front by a boat length now.
And I can tell you the men in second, Ben Canham, he won bronze in this event last year with Alexander Clark. He's in the boat with Mitchell Hooper in 2019. So at the moment, he's in a similar position to what he was last year. But here we go, 200 metres to travel, and it's Britt and O'Shannessy in first place and looking quite nice at the moment. Remember, gold in the under-21 event in the men's coxless pair last year. Can they double up and step up to win gold? It's looking promising for them at the moment. The Lavery brothers in second. They are in lane 3. And then Mercantile, who were in third. As I mentioned, Ben Canham, he won bronze in this event last year. He's being challenged for bronze this year by the middle of the course and lane 6. But look at Marcus Britt out in front with Will O'Shannessy. They took out gold in the under-21 men's coxless pair last year. Now they have gold medal in the under-23 event.
And look at the race for third.
And then second, and they're all coming for third, but Mercantile are going to hold on to third place just. So Ben Canham, for the second year in a row, has a bronze medal in this event, this time with Mitch Hooper, Melbourne Uni and UTS in second, and Sydney University take out gold. What a performance.
Very close for the positions 3 through to about 6 there. One long beep of the hooter at the finish line, but they've come up as unofficial results on screen. First place, Sydney University, lane 5. Second, Melbourne Uni and UTS. Third, the bronze medal will go to Mercantile, lane 2. Commercial Toowong were 4th. Sydney, lane 6, ahead of Sydney, lane 7. Then Adelaide, Mercantile in 7th place. Melbourne University in 8th. The unofficial winning time there for the Sydney Uni crew, 6:32.74, and they won it by 4.75 seconds in the A final of the under-23 men's coxless pair. The presentation of medals for the under-23 women's coxless pair championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Cameron Mackenzie McHarg, Olympic silver medalist and founder of 776 BC. In third place, and bronze medalists, representing the West Australian and Swan River rowing clubs, Leah Franklin, and Olivia Jones. In second place, and silver medalist from the University of Technology Sydney Rowing Club, Shayla Martinchick and Grace Reed. The gold medalists and Australian champions for 2019, Sydney University. Tara Rigney and Dion Bettiger. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions and medalists. Henry are racing now in race 2:46, just underway. The A final of the Open Women's Singles Scull. Lane 1, Swan River, Caitlin McPhail. Lane 2 from Sydney University, Genevieve Horton. Lane 3 from Brisbane and GPS Rowing Club, Alexandria Morgan McDonald. Lane 4 from Sydney University and the New South Wales Institute of Sport, Fiona Ewing. Lane 5, Mercantile, Katrina Bateman. Lane 6, Sydney University, Rowena Meredith. Lane 7, Capital Lakes, Kara Graskoviak. Lane 8, from the Huon Rowing Club, Eleni Kalimnios.
A really big race. Maddie Edmonds has won this event the last 2 years. She's not in this race in 2019. Jen Horton, who is in lane 2, she won bronze in this event in 2017, silver in 2018. Richard, can she take out gold in 2019 and complete the set? Wouldn't that be great for Sydney Uni Boat Club?
Indeed, and it's a star-studded field here, Ben, that she'll have to beat to do so. The entire Australian women's quad is in this final. The crew that's been selected to go and race in Europe over in the summer over there in the World Cup Regattas in Poznan and also in Rotterdam. And that's the scullers from lanes 4 through to 7, Fiona Ewing, Katrina Bateman, Rowena Meredith and Kara Graskoviak, who are all racing there side by side. They're the 4 scullers on screen, in fact, but there is one sculler over on the far side who's got out to a flying start.
I think it's Jen
might be
Horton.
Genevieve Horton, I think, over in lane 2, who's disappeared from a shot. You can just see her bow wake there, as it is indeed Genevieve Horton, who leads them through by over a length after 500 metres in this A final.
So 3.5 seconds, that gap. So Jen Horton has gone out quite hard. Rowena Meredith in second. Now, she finished in third place last year, won the bronze medal. Katrina Bateman in third. Fiona Ewing, who was last in this race last year. So she started in the centre of the field, one of the quickest times through to this final. And then Graskowiak, Kalimnius, McPhail and Morgan McDonald rounding out this field. But it's the start from Jen Horton, which she would have wanted. She's from the NTC. And then Rowena Meredith from the NSWIS program. Katrina Bateman in third. So a couple of New South Wales crews. Mercantile in third. And then Sydney Uni Capital Lakes. So a field from all over the country, really, in this race. Tasmania represented, Brisbane and GPS and Swan River as well from WA. So we'll get a good look here at the 1K splits as to whether Jen Horton went out a little too hard. But as we see on that wide shot, she still looks to have a sizable advantage.
Yeah, she's maintaining a lead, it seems, for now. Genevieve Horton certainly asking all the questions in the early stages. She's also a member of the Australian squad to go away to Europe this year. She's rowing in the women's double scull. So it's the Australian athletes in this race, as you'd expect at the pointy end of the race. You mentioned Maddie Edmonds, of course, before too, Ben, who's won this race the last 2 years, as well as the interstate women's single scull, but recently announcing a decision to step away from the sport. So we do wish Maddie all the best in her future endeavours. If you're watching on the live stream from up in Queensland, and a great race unfolding here with Genevieve Horton still leading this flotilla of the Australian women's quad members who are chasing her hard, but they haven't managed to make up much ground. In fact, I think the lead may have almost extended over the second 500 metres.
I think you're right. 3:41.01 is the split time for Jen Horton. It's 6.20 seconds back to Rowena Meredith and Fiona Ewing. So it's a Sydney Uni, all Sydney Uni in the top 3. Mercantile back in 4th. 5th in Capital Lakes and Huon in 6th. So what is that, a royal flush if you take all 3? Gold, silver and bronze. Horton, Meredith and Ewing looking good at the moment. But it's really a contest for 2nd and 3rd unless they can close this gap on Genevieve Horton.
This is the big question. Has Genevieve Horton gone out too hard, or has she timed the race to perfection? She has certainly jumped well clear of the scullers on this side in lanes 6, 4, 5 and 7, sitting 2nd through to 5th. You'd imagine they'd be aware of the presence of Genevieve Horton still, even though she's a few lanes across, but you'd imagine they'd be aware that someone's gone out clearly in front of them. But having a great race for the minor medals, but Genevieve Horton virtually on her own there on the far side of the course, and she still maintains a comfortable lead with only about a third of this race now to go.
Well, the camera's not wide enough, Richard, to be able to spot the boat in lane 2 of Genevieve Horton from Sydney University and the NTC. As we mentioned, it's been Queensland who have won this title the last 2 years, with Maddie Edmonds going out on a high, and Genevieve Horton looking to claim it back for New South Wales. Rowena Meredith 2nd at the 1K, and then Ewing in 3rd, who was in the middle lanes. Katrina Bateman in lane 5. So maybe she played her ducks and drakes perfectly in the semi-finals and the heats. Genevieve Horton to make it through to this final in a wider lane, and she's taken everyone by surprise at the moment as we see the 1500 metre timing chip slowly approaching.
Looks like Rowena Meredith, the sculler, going out after our race leader. She's broken a little clear of those scullers on this side into second place, but Genevieve Horton certainly still the comfortable race leader, 4.5 seconds. Rowena Meredith there in second has just pulled clear of Gruskowiak, Ewing and Bateman. Still a great battle on this side of the course, but what has Genevieve Horton got left in the tank now?
Well, Kara Gruskowiak, she finished in 4th in this race last year, and she is lifted from 5th to 3rd in that last 500 metres. So is she just burning the engine and priming it for this last 500 metres? We will find out. So you can see Jen Horton on the far side. There is no doubt that her lead is being cut by the boats in the middle of the course. And the boats you've got to look out for is lane 6, Rowena Meredith, and Gruskowiak in lane 7. So they're both next to each other, closest to the grandstand. Lane 8 out of it at the moment with Huon Rowing Club, but it's lane 6, 7, and you can also see lane 4, Fiona Ewing from Sydney University. She's going nowhere in the middle of the course, trying to catch her clubmate, Jen Horton, who is powering away. But at the moment, there's only one boat it looks like will get near her, and that is Rowena Meredith, also from Sydney University Rowing Club. So can she pull her back? Ewing is pushing in the centre. The mercantile sculler, Katrina Bateman, is also trying to pull back Horton. So it's about 100 metres to travel. Horton will be hoping that these dark red boys approach quickly, because you sense she'll be fatigued after putting everything into that opening 1K.
She's lifted again, Ben. She's lifted again. Genevieve Horton on the far side, desperately trying to keep her boat in front here from Rowena Meredith, who's chasing hard.
And Ewing as well is putting it in. As you can see, Gruskowiak as well, who came 4th last year looking for a bronze, but it's going to be Jen Horton. Bronze in 2017, silver in 2018. She completes the set in 2019. What a performance from lane 2. Rowena Meredith takes silver, and Gruskowiak improves on her 4th place last year. She'll take bronze away. Ewing in 4th, Bateman 5th, but it's Jen Horton who wins gold.
She does indeed, an all-the-way effort there from Genevieve Horton to claim the A final of the Open Women's Single Scull. The last couple of scullers just approaching the line now to complete the field, but it is unofficially there. Genevieve Horton in 1st place, 2nd to Rowena Meredith, 3rd Kara Gruskowiak, 4th Fiona Ewing, 5th was Katrina Bateman, the 4 members of the Australian Women's Quad there from 2nd through to 5th. 6th place, Eleni Kalimnios. 7th will be Caitlin McPhail. And 8th place, still approaching the finish line, the Brisbane and GPS sculler, Alexandria Morgan McDonald, to complete a memorable A final in the Open Women's Single Scull. 7:31.91, the unofficial winning time to Genevieve Horton, and she wins it by 1.86 seconds. The presentation of medals for the Under-23 Men's Coxless Pair Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Mr. Cameron Mackenzie McHarg, Olympic silver medalist and founder of 776 BC. In 3rd place, and bronze medalists, representing the Mercantile Rowing Club and the Victorian Institute of Sport, Mitchell Hooper and Benjamin Canham. In 2nd place, and silver medalists, the University of Technology, Sydney, Nick Lavery. And from the Melbourne University Boat Club, Rowan Lavery. The gold medalists and Australian champions for 2019 from the Sydney University Boat Club, Marcus Britt and Will O'Shannessy. crew was coached by Donald McLaughlin. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions and medalists. B final approaching in the open men's single scull, but we'll go down the course to the A final now, which is also underway. Lane 1, Sydney University, Leon Chambers. Lane 2, Sydney University, Campbell Watts. Lane 3, Sydney University, Cameron Girdlestone. Lane 4, Australian National University, Caleb Antle. Lane 5, Adelaide Rowing Club, Alexander Hill. Lane 6, Sydney Rowing Club, David Watts. Lane 7, Sydney University, Nicholas Purnell. And Lane 8, Sydney University, Jack Hargraves. See the shots on screen are from the A final. The B final just concluding here in front of us to Sydney Uni's David Barthelot and Mossman's Robert Black lead the field, and Black, it looks like, should get the win here, Ben.
Yeah, it's a very tight finish between lane 7 and lane 2, but it is going to be a really strong finish from Robert Black, who was third at the 1500, powers home to take out first place in the B final. Barthelot second, and Luke Letcher, who is first with 500 left, has faded a little, and he finishes in third place. Northrop fourth, Marsh fifth, Murphy sixth, Bicknell in 7th place in the B finals. We head back up the course, so we've got the 500 metre split times, Richard, and Alexander Hill. He won this event last year. He is leading at the 500. David Watts in second place as it stands. Fourth in this event, 2016, wasn't in the final the last couple of years. And Cameron Girdlestone, who was 7th in 2018, he won this event back in 2016. So is he tuning himself up nicely to be there for the Olympics next year, really getting himself going? We'll have to wait and see.
Yes, indeed. Alex Hill, the winner last year. I have a recollection he maybe was the first South Australian, or at least the first South Australian in a long time to win this race. I'm sure I'll be corrected if that's not the case, but Alex Hill, a big winner last year, of course, a member of the Australian men's four that's swept all before them at the World Championships the last 2 years, and certainly well placed here in the sculling boat as well.
Yeah, and he's looking good. Middle of the course with the bright yellow boat. Alexander Hill also with the National Training Centre. And as he approaches the halfway mark, once again, it's a similar story to what it was in the open women's race, with Jen Horton having a lead of about 4 or 5 seconds. And on this occasion, it's Hill from Antill, and it's about 4 seconds, 3.88. David Watts in third. And then look at that, Sydney University scullers from 4th through to 8th. Girdlestone, Chambers, Purnell, Hargraves and Watts. Now remember, Leon Chambers is a lightweight, won the lightweight race in the under-23 single last year. So he's going up against the big boys here. And Alexander Hill doing a good job at the moment. But that gap is sizable, 4 seconds. It can be pulled back, though, as we saw in the last race. David Watts and then Girdlestone, Chambers and Purnell, followed by Hargraves and Watts. Very, very tight halfway through this one.
Yeah, it's unfolding just like the previous race did, Ben. We've got I guess predominantly a sweep rower in Alex Hill, who's gone out in front, and the members of the Australian men's squad, 3 of them in this race, are trying to chase him down. That's Cameron Girdlestone, David Watts and Caleb Antill, who all race together in the men's quad throughout the European season. But Alex Hill has certainly asked every question of them in the early stage, or the middle stages now, as he looks to maintain his national title, and he's comfortably clear here as they approach now the 1500 metre mark.
Now Caleb Antill, he was 4th in this race last year, so just missed out on the medals. At the moment, he is well placed. We'll get those 1500 metre splits through shortly. You can just see on screen the 1250 metre sign. So we'll get a good look at who is ahead and who has the advantage, because Alex Hill was almost 4 seconds in front. It's come through at 5:01.80. That is Alex Hill's split, and he has increased his advantage over Caleb Antill to 5.32 seconds. And then it's pretty tight through the rest of the field. David Watts in 3rd place. He was 4th, as I mentioned, in 2016, and then Girdlestone in 4th. Hargraves 5th, Chambers 6th, Purnell 7th, and Campbell Watts back in 8th. Of course, he's part of that Australian double with Hamish Playfair for World Cups 2 and 3. And can anyone catch Alexander Hill? Pardon the pun, but it seems like it's going to be an uphill battle for the rest of the race. Caleb Antill has got his work cut out for him.
Yes, Alex Hill just looks to be holding his lead here in the closing stages now, clear by a couple of boat lengths. The action, it's still tight for silver and bronze, which means the scullers behind him are really chasing hard. The sculler there in lane 3, Cameron Girdleston, I reckon's moved up a place or two over the last couple of hundred metres to possibly be a big medal chance here. In fact, he's going out after our race leader, still a length or so behind Alex Hill, but Girdlestone is chasing hard.
Yeah, and also there's a big lift from Caleb Antill, who is in lane 4, and he is making up some ground on Alexander Hill with about 100 metres to travel. As I mentioned in the previous race, he'll be looking for those dark red boys, and he is, Alexander Hill, as he powers into the last 100 metres. Caleb Antill is coming after him, as is Purnell in lane 7. He has produced a stunning last 500 metres, but Alexander Hill, he's got the lead, and for the second year in a row, Alexander Hill climbs to the top of the mountain. He wins gold in the Open Men's Single Scull. Caleb Antill wins silver this year after 4th last year. And take a bow, Nick Purnell, 7th. Yes, 7th at the 1500. He takes bronze. Absolutely stunning. David Watts 4th, Girdleston 5th, Hargraves 6th, Chambers in 7th, and Campbell Watts 8th.
Great win to Alex Hill there for the second year in a row from the Adelaide Rowing Club and the National Training Centre, of course, in Canberra. He's unofficially across in first place. Second to Caleb Antill. Third, Nicholas Purnell. David Watts was 4th. Cameron Girdleston was 5th. Jack Hargraves 6th. Leon Chambers 7th. And Campbell Watts in 8th place. The unofficial winning time there now adjusted to 6:46.32. And the winning margin 3 1/4 seconds for Alex Hill. The presentation of medals for the Open Women's Single Scull Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Mr. Cameron Mackenzie McHarg, Olympic silver medalist and founder of 776 BC. In third place, and bronze medalist from the Capital Lakes Rowing Club and ACT High Performance Program, Kara Groskowiak. Kara is coached by Nick Garrett. In second place, and silver medalist from the Sydney University Boat Club and the New South Wales Institute of Sport, Rowena Meredith. Rowena is coached by Donald McLaughlin. The gold medalist and Australian champion for 2019 from the Sydney University Boat Club and the National Training Centre, Genevieve Horton. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champion and medalists. Shots from the start line there now of the A final in the Open Women's Coxless pair, racing for the Sarah Tate Memorial Trophy. Field of 8 in this race. Lane 1, Commercial and Tamar, Fiona Wilson and Jacinta Edmonds. Lane 2, University of Technology Sydney, Emma Fessy and Georgie Rowe. Lane 3, Banks and Melbourne University, Lucy Steffen and Rosie Popper. Lane 4, Adelaide and Huon, Sarah Hoare and Molly Goodman. Lane 5, Fremantle Mercantile, Jess Morrison and Annabelle McIntyre. Lane 6, Adelaide Mercantile, Katrina Werry and Olympia Aldersey. Lane 7 is Swan River Melbourne University, Georgina Howe and Lily Tinapple. And Lane 8, West Australian and Sydney Rowing Clubs, Leah Saunders and Hannah Vermeersch. And they are just underway, Ben, in the A final race 250.
And Richard, I can tell you last year, Sarah Hoare and Molly Goodman, they took out gold with the Adelaide and Huon pair combining for that particular win. Also with the National Training Centre, so they'll be looking to defend their title this year. And Sarah Hoare actually won back in 2017 as well with Megan Volker. So can she go 3 years in a row? Sarah Hoare will wait and see.
These crews, of course, are racing for the magnificent Sarah Tate Memorial Trophy. Sarah, of course, well known to many people here at this regatta. Was an Olympic silver medalist in this event in the coxless pair at the 2012 Games in London. A triple Olympian, of course, and one of the first mother to row on the Australian team. And she is remembered with the trophy that we presented to the winner of this race, the Open Women's Coxless Pair.
And as you said, Richard, that trophy is stunning. That is a stunning trophy. If you haven't seen it, you will get to see it shortly. Just beautiful. Really honouring Sarah perfectly. So, race 250, it's Morrison and McIntyre who are ahead, 142.88. The defending champions in the silver medal position currently. They won't be too worried about that. 1.51 seconds further back. Stephen and Popper in third. And then Werry and Aldersey in fourth place. Fessy and Rowe in fifth from UTS. So Jess Morrison was third in 2018 with Georgia Gotch. That's the crew in the B final who are leading at the moment. We will...
It'll be late. It will be Georgia Gotch and Bronwyn Cox to take the win in that B final. Ben, Sydney University of Western Australia first, ahead of Griffith University, Toowong, Rebecca Smith and Nicole Constable. And third place will go to lane 3, Anna Collins and Jill Crow from the Adelaide Rowing Club in the B final of the Open Women's Coxless Pair.
Yeah, so Jess Morrison ahead of that A final. She was actually in the boat, as I mentioned, with Georgia Gotch, who just won that B final last year. And they took out bronze. So she's with Annabelle McIntyre, and they're looking good at the moment. Hoare and Goodman still in second as we see that B final wrap up. Collins and Crow crossing the line. So Sydney Uni and the University composite crew, they finish in first. Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise second, and then Adelaide in third. That's Sydney Uni, University of WA composite. So we'll head back down the course, and here it is, the A final of the Open Women's Coxless Pair for the Sarah Tate Memorial Trophy. And it's Sarah Hoare and Molly Goodman who are required to do the chasing at the moment, because out in front it's lane 5 and it is Morrison and McIntyre. Jess Morrison from Mercantile, Annabelle McIntyre from Fremantle, and then Hoare and Goodman. Look at this gap. It's 4.25 seconds at the halfway point. They have powered through that second 500 metres. And then Stephen and Popper, who are in third at the moment from Banks and Melbourne University. Lucy Stephen from Melbourne University. Rosie Popper from Banks, coached by Matt Ryan. So they're in bronze at the moment. And then 2 seconds further back, Werry and Aldersey from Adelaide and Mercantile. And they are connected with the National Training Centre as well. A lot of these crews, all of the crews connected with the National Training Centre, Richard. And at the moment, there could be a little bit of an upset brewing.
Yes, Sarah Hoare. Yes, indeed. Sarah Hoare and Molly Goodman were half of the Australian 4 that finished second in the world last year at the World Championships. Just beaten home by the Americans in the final analysis there after winning the world title the previous year. But certainly this combination in the centre lane there, lane 5, Jess Morrison of Mercantile and Annabelle McIntyre from Mantle, look to be increasingly comfortable race leaders from Hoare and Goodman alongside them there in lane 4. So it is the 2 centre lanes, and then Adelaide in 3. So 5, 4 and 3 it looks like. Still our leading 3, Lucy Stephan in that third place boat, also a member of that same Australian 4, rowing with Rosie Popper, who I think was in the 8 last year as well, as were Jacinta Edmonds and Siona Wilson over on the far side of the course. Jacinta, the younger sister of Maddie Edmonds, who we mentioned a couple of races ago, but they're racing over in lane 1 back in about 6th or 7th at this stage of the race.
And Morrison and McIntyre through the 1500 metre timing. Hutt at 5:13.42 in the lead has increased to over 6 seconds. Now back to the defending champions, Sarah Hall and Molly Goodman from Adelaide and Huon Rowing Clubs. And then Banks and Melbourne Unis, Stefan and Popper in 3rd, Werry and Aldersey in 4th. And it's exactly the same. So the placings at the 1500 metre mark are identical to what they were at the 1K. You don't see that too often. And it's the middle of the course. So it's all going to script at the moment. The crews in the middle of the course ahead based on those times in the earlier races. And it's looking good at the moment for Jess Morrison and Annabelle McIntyre. As I said, Jess Morrison from Mercantile Rowing Club. She is in the bow seat and she won bronze last year. Annabelle McIntyre in stroke. And that lead is a sizable one as they come into the last 200 metres.
Continue to stay comfortably in front, this leading crew in the Open Women's Coxless pair, racing for the Sarah Tate Memorial Trophy, and it's looking increasingly like that trophy will go to the Fremantle and Mercantile combination. Jess Morrison and Annabelle McIntyre. Jess Morrison, a part of the Australian Women's 8 at the Rio Olympics as well in this leading crew, and they've got clear water on the rest of the field, Ben.
Yeah, there's an attempted lift from Hoare and Goodman, who are the defending champions. You can see the Adelaide and Huon composite crew, Goodman in stroke and Hoare in bow, but it's not going to be enough. Jess Morrison took out bronze last year. She'll take gold this year alongside Annabelle McIntyre. Super rowing, they're the Australian champions. And the defending champions are going to have to settle for silver. Bronze is tight, and it will just go the way of Adelaide and Mercantile, Werry and Aldersey. They were in 4th place at the 1500. They've overhauled Stefan and Popper to take bronze, and they will enjoy stepping up on the dais. So that rounds out gold, silver and bronze. Banks, Melbourne Uni 4th, Commercial and Tamar 5th, UTS 6th, Swan River and Melbourne Uni 7th, and WA Rowing Club and Sydney in 8th.
So unofficially in race 250, the winners Fremantle and Mercantile on lane 5, ahead of Adelaide Huon on lane 4 and Adelaide Mercantile lane 6. So they are the medalists. Banks Melbourne Uni finished in 4th place, Commercial and Tamar in 5th, UTS in 6th, Swan River Melbourne Uni in 7th place, and the West Australian and Sydney Rowing Club finished in 8th place. The winning time there for Jess Morrison and Annabelle McIntyre is 7:02.18. And they won it by 4.84 seconds in race 250, the Open Women's Coxless pair. The presentation of medals for the Open Men's Single Scull Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Mr. Cameron Mackenzie McHarg, Olympic silver medalist and founder of 776 BC. In 3rd place, and bronze medalist, representing the Sydney University Boat Club and the National Training Centre, Nicholas Purnell. In 2nd place, and silver medalist, representing the Australian National University and the National Training Centre, Caleb Antle. The gold medalist and Australian champion for 2019, representing the Adelaide Rowing Club and the National Training Centre, Alexander Hill. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champion and medalists. And they are racing now in the Open Men's Coxless Pair A final for the Ted Bromley Memorial Trophy. Lane 1, Mercantile, Liam Donald and Angus Whittingham. Lane 2 is Tamar UTS, Ben Coombs and Henry Yule. Lane 3, Melbourne University, Joshua Booth and Simon Keenan. Lane 4, University of Technology, Sydney, James Medway and Tim Masters. Lane 5, Sydney Rowing Club, Sam Hardy and Joshua Hicks. Lane 6, Sydney University and Sydney Rowing Clubs, Angus Moore and Alex Purnell. Lane 7, Sydney and University of Technology, Sydney, Hamish Playfair and Spencer Turren. And Lane 8, Sydney University, Andrew Judge and Jack O'Brien.
So we just see the start of this A final of the Open Men's Coxless Pair. And coming into view in front of the grandstand here, you will see the B final. So just quickly, the crews across the course. You've got UTS over in lane 3, Tasmania University in 4, then Uni of Queensland in lane 6, and Banks in lane 7. And currently, it is UTS who are just leading Tasmania University. As we see those 500-metre splits there for the A final.
It's about a length. The length from first to 8th after 500 metres.
So tight as you would expect in those kind of races. And we are now seeing the B final come into shot, and it's UTS who will take it out. Darmond O'Driscoll and Henry Lees bunch the air, and James Cocker and Sean Finlayson from Tasmania University take second place in that one. As we see, third will go to Uni of Queensland, fourth to Banks. And the A final, as Richard was saying, yeah, as you'd expect, quite tight. 134.26. Booth and Keenan went through the first timing hut in, and Booth and Keenan actually gold medalists from 2018. Josh Booth also won gold in this event in 2016. There's plenty of past champions in this race. Josh Hicks won gold in 2017 with Angus Moore. They're in different boats in 2019. Hicks with Sam Hardy in lane 5, and then Angus Moore in lane 6 with Alex Purnell. So plenty of quality in this field, and all NTC crews as you would expect. And it's Booth and Keenan, the defending champions. Can they go back-to-back in 2019? We'll have to wait and see. You can see their boat just ahead. But at the bright yellow boat coming through the centre of the course, that's the boat of Sam Hardy and Josh Hicks, the Sydney Rowing Club sweep rowers. And they're powering along quite nicely at the moment. Remember that lead at the 500 with less than half a second. It has extended now to 1.5 seconds, but that's still tight. Booth and Keenan ahead. Hardy and Hicks in second, Playfair and Turren. Of course, Spencer Turren won the single here a couple of years ago. He's in the bronze medal position, and then Medway and Masters in fourth, Judge and O'Brien in fifth, who won the under-23 event of this last year.
And now stepping up to open competition, but yeah, still very close halfway through this race.
So the boat's heading away from camera. Liam Donald, Angus Whittingham from Mercantile. They're over on the far side of the course. You can just see them in shot. And then the Tamar and UTS composite, Ben Coombs, who is in the stroke seat, and Henry Yule in the Henry Yule is in the stroke seat, I should say, and Ben Coombs from UTS, the black and white in bow. And then in lane 3, you've got Melbourne University. They were the crew leading at the 1K, and it is a little bit of a tough angle to pick it at this point as to who is in front, but I think they may be just ahead of the Sydney crew, Sam Hardy and Josh Hicks. Next to them are the UTS boat, Medway and Masters, who look to be a little further back at the moment. They were in fourth place at the 1K. We'll get a better look here as they move towards the 1,500-metre timing hut. And this is going to be tight. You think this is going to go right down to the wire, and you expected so, because Josh Hicks is a former champion in this race. And hang on, look at lane 7. They've come flying up. Hamish Playfair and Spencer Turren. Do not write those two off. We know Spencer Turren's quality in the sweep boat, and it's just 0.22 seconds They're in third place at the 1K, and they are powering through now. They are going to be difficult to stop. That's going to be like trying to stop a freight train. They are flying down the course. Booth and Keenan, defending champions, are going to have their work cut out for them. They're coached by Matt Ryan. Spencer Turren and Hamish Playfair, they're coached by Donovan Sett and Alex Field. And they are currently moving up the course at quite a rate. 300 metres to travel, and there is no doubt now that Turren and Playfair have taken the lead. Spencer Turren from Sydney Rowing Club, Hamish Playfair from UTS, and they're coming into view. Spencer Turren is in the bow seat. Playfair is setting the rating at the moment, and he's setting it quite high, Richard.
He is indeed. It was a great premiership quarter there in the third 500 from Playfair and Turren. Both, again, members of the Australian quad. Hamish Playfair will ride the double scull. Spencer Turren is in the sweep squad, which is why he's riding in the pair event this time around after winning the single scull a couple of years ago. The Victorians went out hard in lane 3. They look to have been certainly overrun in the second half of this race. Still fighting on for the silver medal, possibly Booth and Keenan over in lane 3, and not giving up the chase either. And in the centre of the course, lane 5 there, Hardy and Hicks for the Sydney Rowing Club. They should be medalists, just the order to be sorted out as the Victorians come again.
Yeah, they are, and they are firing through here. Josh Booth and Simon Keenan, they are not going to give up without a fight. Turren and Playfair are going to do well to hold on here, and they're not going to hold on. It's going to be Victoria who take gold. Absolutely staggering that last 500 metres. Josh Booth and Simon Keenan go back-to-back after they looked like they were on the ropes. They've jumped off the ropes and claimed gold from Playfair and Turren, who were absolutely steaming through that third 500, and it's 0.32 the difference. Sydney take out third, UTS fourth. Wow, what a fight back in that last 500 from the boys from Victoria.
They made it look easy in the end. Talk about timing your finish to perfection. Getting up by a third of a second with a storming finish. Joshua Booth and Simon Keane unofficially first for Melbourne University. Second to Sydney Uni. Hamish Playfair and Spencer Turren. Sydney Uni and UTS there in second place. Third, the Sydney Rowing Club combination of Hardy and Hicks. Fourth was UTS, lane 4. Fifth, Sydney Uni and Sydney in lane 6. Seventh was Mercantile. Eighth, Tamar UTS. Seventh, Tamar UTS. Eighth was Sydney Uni. 6:28 flat unofficially the time there for Joshua Booth and Simon Keenan, and 0.32 seconds. A great finish in the open men's coxless pair. The presentation of medals and the SIRR Memorial Trophy for the Open Women's Coxless Pair Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Matt Ryan, Olympic silver medalists. In third place, and bronze medalists, representing the Mercantile Rowing Club, Katrina Werry. And from the Adelaide Rowing Club, Olympia Aldersey. In second place, and silver medalists, from the Huon Rowing Club, Sarah Hoare. And from the Adelaide Rowing Club, Molly Goodman. The gold medalists and Australian champions for 2019, representing Mercantile, Jess Morrison. And from the Fremantle Rowing Club, Annabelle McIntyre. The Sarah Tate Memorial Trophy will now be presented by Matt Ryan. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions and medalists. And away in our next race, Ben, I'm about to leave you with Lizzie Chapman, but the start list first of all for race 254 is lane 1, Melbourne University, Sophie Walmsley. Lane 2, Huon, Kate Hall. Lane 3, Rockhampton Grammar, Grace Cipher. Lane 4, Fremantle, Annabelle Council. Lane 5, Sydney, Isabel Johnson. Lane 6, West Australian Rowing Club, Georgia Seed. Lane 7, Mersey, Hannah Tippett. Lane 8 from Mercantile is Phoebe Wolf.
Thank you, Richard. Thanks for your company this morning. Go and enjoy a well-earned break. Lizzie Chapman will be in here shortly, and we're going to bring you that B final in just a second. They're coming down the course. Just a quick update. Alexandra Moylan is leading that B final in first. She's in lane 8. Toowong, Ella McKenzie in second, and then Jennifer Bolster in third. So that's the B final. That'll be here shortly as we see that under 21 lightweight single for women is underway. And I can tell you last year, Georgia Seed, she was 7th in the B final last year. She's in this race. She's in lane 6. And can she perform well in this final and find a way into the medals? We'll have to wait and see. And it's Alexandra Moylan in this B final who remains ahead with about 500 metres to travel. We'll bring you the times in the A final when they come through. They should be through very, very shortly, and we'll get a look at the field as to how they are placed. Walmsley in 1, Hall in 2, Cipher 3, Council in the middle of the course with Johnson, and then Seed in 6th and Hannah Tippett in 7th. Phoebe Wolf in lane number 8 at the moment. So we can have a look at this race coming up to the 500 metre timing point. So it's Isabel Johnson who is leading them through the first 500 metres, 156.19 from Georgia Seed in second, 0.60 further back. Annabelle Council in third, Hannah Tippett in fourth. So pretty tight between all crews, 500 metres in, as you'd expect. And you can just see on screen there, that is the boat currently in 7th, Phoebe Wolf in lane number 8. Inside her is Hannah Tippett from Mersey Rowing Club. So tight through 500 metres in this A final of the under-21 lightweight women's single scull. And just in front of us, Owen, we've got the finish to the B final, and a stunning performance from Alexandra Moylan in lane 8. She's got an almost 13-second advantage at the 1500, and she is powering through to victory.
Yeah, so you can approach B finals in a few different ways. It's certainly a chance to make amends for not qualifying for the A final. That's exactly what Alexandra Moylan has done here. Coming up in the last 50 metres of this one. So dominant performance, and she will rank 9th in the under-21 lightweight women's single scull.
And she'll get to compare her times to the A final, and you sense it'll be right up there in comparison, because that's a really good performance as she crosses the line. So 8:15.94 the time for Alexandra Moylan from ANU. And Moylan first, daylight second, really. Second place is going to go to lane 5, and Ella McKenzie from Toowong, who is pushing through towards the line, and she will take second place. McKenzie from Toowong, and rounding out the top 3 is Maxine Rennie in third place from Australian National University. Swan River 4th, Jennifer Bolster, then Webb from Adelaide, Ellis from Fremantle in 6th place in the B final, and then 7th place will go the way of Gippsland Grammar and Alicia McGrath. So we've got 1K down in the A final, and it's Isabel Johnson who led at the 500, now leads at the 1K and has increased the lead to almost 3.5 seconds from Georgia Seed, who, as I mentioned, finished 7th in the B final in this event last year, so obviously 1 year older, and she's looking all right at the moment. The sculler from Western Australia Rowing Club. You can see the orange-red Zudi of WA Rowing Club in the middle of the course. And then Central is the leader currently, who is Isabel Johnson from Sydney Rowing Club, coached by Lachlan Carter and Donovan Seck. So Sydney in first, WA Rowing Club second, Rockhampton Grammar third, and then in fourth, Annabelle Council. So 0.44 seconds was the gap between third and fourth at the 1K. So very much up for grabs, these 3 medal positions in this race, Owen.
Yeah, that's right. So very good performance coming from Isabel Johnson of Sydney Rowing Club, and Seed, who has had a very fine regatta so far. So currently they're in second spot, and Grace Cipher, the youngster from Rockhampton Grammar School, putting a nice performance there, third from the far side of the course.
And last year it was Long T Tao from Team Vietnam who won this event. No international scullers in the race this year. And we can see in the middle of the course, she's still looking good. Isabel Johnson, we'll get a look at her time at the 1500 metre, but there's certainly a move coming from the near side of the course. Grace Cipher from Rockhampton Grammar in lane 3. Look out for her, and very much tight between lane 5 as well. Lane 4 and lane 3. Annabelle Council from Fremantle on her stroke side, Isabel Johnson. And she goes through in 6:07.38. Georgia Seed now 3 seconds further back. So that lead has just been brought in a touch by the WA Rowing Club sculler. Grace Cipher in third from Rockhampton Grammar. And then Fremantle's Annabelle Council is in fourth. So almost identical positions. It is, once again, identical positions from the 1K to the 1500 metre timing hut. And now with 400 metres to travel, the question really is here, can Georgia Seed pull back 3 seconds on Isabel Johnson, or can Grace Cipher or Annabelle Council do likewise? It's really a race between the top 4 for the medals. There's a decent gap between 4th and 5th, Council and Tippett from Mercy, who's back in lane 7 in 5th. So the top 4, very tight, Owen, with 300 to go. This is going to be a fascinating finish.
Yeah, that's for sure. See who's still got it in the legs here for this last 250 metres. You see them just about to pass that buoy now, indicating 250 metres to go. But with Johnson still with the advantage, and the West Australian sculler and the Rocky Grammar sculler in the red colours are also very well placed to strike. And
Well,
a finish coming now from Council of Fremantle.
And you can just see the bow number of Isabel Johnson is very much just tilting at an odd angle. It's actually fallen off, so that will probably help her, give her a little bit less resistance, because it was at a very awkward angle as she is powering through. She won't be concerned about that at all, because look at the finish from Georgia. Well, Georgia Seed has fallen off the pace in lane 7. She's lost a little bit of direction, so it's between lanes 3, 4 and 5. Grace Cipher and also Annabelle Council, who is in lane 4. It's Cipher in 3. It is Annabelle Council in lane 4 and Isabel Johnson, who is trying to hang on. Maybe she spent her bickies a little too early in the race, and powering through, she's gone in. And here is lane 4 and 3. It's between Council. What an incredible race. Annabelle Council is going to get the job done. After all that, in second place, it's Grace Cipher from Rockhampton Grammar. And after going off course, Georgia Seed is going to claim bronze after she finished in the B final last year in 7th. She takes bronze in 2019. But gee whiz, you've got to feel for Isabel Johnson, who is leading up until the last 100 metres, and she's gone in and she's not going to claim a medal at all. That's heartbreaking, Owen.
Yeah, just got caught up on that line of boys and started to clip them, and things just started to go downhill for her after she started to collect a couple of those in that last 100 or so metres of the race. Unofficially, Annabelle Council of Fremantle crossing the line first in 8:13.95, and Grace Cipher of Rockhampton Grammar in second, and Georgia Seed of West Australian Rowing Club in third, a further 7.73 back. Anna Tippett fourth, Kate Hall fifth, Sophie Walmsley sixth, and Phoebe Wolfe seventh, and Isabel Johnson of Sydney Rowing Club, where they did not finish. Presentation of medals and the Ted Bromley Memorial Trophy for the Open Men's Coxless Pair Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Andrew Gearan, Life Member and Director of Rowing Australia. Third place and bronze medalists, Sydney Rowing Club and the National Training Centre. Sam Hardy, Josh Hicks. And Sam Hardy. Second place and silver medalists representing Sydney Rowing Club and UTS Haberfield Rowing Club in the National Training Centre. Hamish Playfair from UTS Haberfield and the National Training Centre. Spencer Turren from Sydney Rowing Club and the National Training Centre. And their coaches Donovan Seck and Alex Field. Gold medalists and Australian champions for 2019, Melbourne University Boat Club and the National Training Centre. With Simon Keenan and Joshua Booth. Coached by Matthew Ryan. And the Ted Bromley Memorial Trophy will now be presented by Andrew Gearan. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions and medalists. And a start list for the A final of the under-21 lightweight men's single scull. Wyatt Batt in lane number 1, Christian Place in lane 2, Eric Lowe in lane 3, Hamish Harding in lane number 4, Matthew Reddy in 5, Miles Matheson in 6, Jack Message in 7, and Daniel Webb in lane 8 as the B final just crosses the line.
And going through, or winning this B final, I should say, Lachlan Kirchner from Adelaide University, Liam McCoy from the Uni of Queensland finishing in 2nd, Harrison Francis 3rd, Shigata from Banks in 4th, Nicholas Tanner in 5th, Dipple in 6th, Tony Lee 7th, and Harrison Lambert rounding out the field in the B final. So we're just into this A final, and it's Miles Matheson who is leading the way, 1:45.11 through this one, and looking good. Miles Matheson in lane 6. I can tell you, Wyatt Batt last year, he was in lane 1 in this particular race. He's a little further back. He was in the B final, finished 2nd. It looks as though it may be a tough race for him in the A final. He's down in 7th place, but it's Hamish Harding now leading through 1K. Matheson in 2nd, Eric Lowe in 3rd, Message in 4th, and then Christian Place in 6th, Matthew Reddy in 6th place, I should say, and Wyatt Batt in 7th, Webb rounding out the field in 8th through 1,000 metres. The leader of this race, Hamish Harding, was 7th last year, so he's certainly stepped it up this year in the under-21 lightweight men's single, a little younger he was last year, and certainly making his age count this year. Hamish Harding. Matt Reedy, who's in the middle of the course. So Matt Reedy, I should say, 8th last year. He's further back in 6th place from Toowong Rowing Club. Miles Matheson in lane number 6. So probably that's the only surprising thing, the fact that Matt Reedy had the middle lane but has fallen back into 6th place. We'll see if he can make up the ground. But you can see Hamish Harding in the ANU ACT Zuti. He's there in lane number 4. Next to him is Eric Lowe from Mercantile in lane 3. And then just to the left of screen, you may just be able to see Christian Place from Toowong, and then further back Wyatt Batt from Sydney University, who look to be out of it at the moment as they approach the 1,500 metre mark. And Matt Reddy from Toowong Rowing Club, who started the race in lane 5. He's a little bit further back because you can see, actually, you can see him just coming through in lane number 6, Miles Matheson, his club mate. But Matt Reddy is well back in 5th. So it's Harding in 1st, Matheson 2nd, Eric Lowe in 3rd place, Jack Message from UTS in 4th. So very similar placings to what they were at the 1K mark. White Bat has moved up into 6th place. Reddy has dropped back to 7th, so having a difficult race. But Hamish Harding, it looks to be between himself, Miles Matheson and Eric Lowe for gold, silver and bronze at this stage, because there's a big gap back to 4th, and Jack Message from UTS, it was about 6.5 seconds. So 400 metres to travel down the course. Harding from Matheson from Lowe, ANU from Toowong from Mercantile, and then UTS further back in 4th place. But this is really where the rating is going to lift, Owen, for all of these scullers as they enter the last 250 metres, and they look out for those 200-metre boys. They're approaching them quickly.
Yeah, you certainly don't have to teach Hamish Harding how to compete, how to rate and how to race. Nick Garrett's certainly working with him. He's got his own way of doing things with his technique. Hamish Harding, he stroked the ACT crew to a bronze medal in the Penrith Cup last year, and that crew remains unchanged for this year. He's a very, very talented athlete, and leading this one with that great enthusiasm that he shows and the high rating as he come into the last 120 metres.
Yeah, I think the challenge is coming from Miles Matheson from Toowong, but it is coming a little late, and Hamish Harding really powering through the rating. As you mentioned, Owen, coached by Nick Garrett, the young man from ANU and connected with the ACT, Academy of Sport, really powering through now with about 50 metres or so to travel. It's not going to be enough from Miles Matheson from Toowong. It's going to be a tight thing for 2nd and 3rd, but it is Hamish Harding, 7th last year. He takes gold and the Australian Championship in 2019, and he looks pretty pumped about that. Toowong's Miles Matheson takes silver, Eric Lowe bronze. But congratulations to Hamish Harding. Terrific performance, 7:25.08. Message finishes in 4th, White Bat in 5th place, Christian Place in 6th, Toowong Rowing Club. And then in lane 5, not the day for Matt Reddy in the middle of the course. He finishes in 7th place, and rounding out the field in this final is Daniel Webb from the Uni of Queensland.
So unofficial results of the under-21 lightweight men's single scull. Hamish Harding of ANU in the ACT in 1st place. 2nd, Toowong Miles Matheson, and 3rd, Mercantile Eric Lowe, coached by David Framano and Zachary Smith. Unofficial time 7:25.17. Margins of 3.44 and 1.42. Jack Message was 4th, Wyatt Bat 5th, Christian Place 6th, Matthew Reddy 7th, and Daniel Webb placing 8th. Presentation of medals for the under-21 lightweight women's single scull Championship of Australia. And the medals will be presented by Andrew Gearan, Life Member and Director of Rowing Australia. Third place and bronze medalist, representing West Australian Rowing Club, Georgia Seed. Coached by Joseph Tamigi. Second place and silver medalist, representing Rockhampton Grammar, Grace Cipher. Coached by Robin Fay. And gold medalist and Australian champion for 2019, representing Fremantle Rowing Club, Annabelle Council. Coached by Tom Gatti. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions and medalists. So the B final of the under-23 lightweight women's single scull was cancelled. We now have the A final with lane number 1, Annika Reardon of Sandy Bay Rowing Club, coached by Michael Reardon. Lane 2, the University of Western Australia's Alexandra Utley, coached by Stefano Belosso. Lane 3, representing Adelaide University and the South Australian Sports Institute, Celia Cowan, coached by Jason Lane and Brinley Millwood. Lane 4, representing UTS and the New South Wales Institute of Sport, Georgina Masters, coached by Alex Field, David Geely and Hallie Chapman. Lane 5, representing ANU, Jilly Roberts, coached by Nick Garrett and Renee Domichens. In Lane 6 from Toowong, Lucy Theodore, coached by Leo Kara-Dimitris and Kieran Dwyer. Lane 7, also Toowong, Caitlin Douglas, coached by Leo Kara-Dimitris, Kieran Dwyer and Andrew Gerber. And City University's Lucy Coleman is in lane number 8, coached by Alfie Young and Debbie Fox.
And in this race, we'll get through those 500-metre times shortly. And it's lane 3, Celia Cowan, I should say, who is ahead at this point as they come into view. It may be tight between herself and also the boats in the middle of the course. Lane 6 is firing up Lucy Theodore, and she is in second at the moment. The sculler from Toowong. Jilly Roberts from ANU in third. Georgina Masters in fourth. Utley from University of WA in 5th, and Caitlin Douglas from Toowong in 6th place. Celia Cowan won bronze in the under-21 lightweight women's single last year. So stepping up to the under-23s, and she's looking good at the moment. Lucy Theodore in 2nd place, and Jilly Roberts in 3rd, and then Georgina Masters, who was in this event last year, finishing just outside the medals in 4th. She's sitting 4th at the moment, so a bit of work to do for her, but it's early days in this particular race, Owen, and very tight between the first 7 scullers. Lucy Coleman a little bit adrift at the back of the race.
Yeah, so all these scullers in the lightweight categories need to weigh in under 59 kilograms between 2 hours and 1 hour before their race this morning. So their window shut at 10:30 to weigh in for this A final of the under-23 lightweight women's single scull. It's being led by Celia Cowan.
Yeah, looking good. 1:54.28 her time through the opening 500 metres as we are looking to find them. It's a bit of a mystery. Where are they? Here they are. The scullers 750, 800 metres in. And it is Celia Cowan, lane 3 from Theodore, Jilly Roberts in the middle of the course. Very tight between maybe the top 4 and 5. Out here on this near side, you can see Caitlin Douglas from Toowong in lane 7. She may be a little further back as we come into view, but she's certainly within touching distance of the head of the field. She was only about 3 or 4 seconds back from first. That's how tight it was between 1st to 7th. But as we see them approach the halfway point, it's Lucy Theodore, 2nd at the 500, now in 1st place, 3:54.47. Jilly Roberts was in 3rd. She's now in 2nd. Georgina Masters, 4th last year in this race, now in the bronze medal position. And Celia Cowan, question is, Owen, maybe she went out a little too hard. Did she go out a little too hard now that she slipped back, or is she just conserving herself for a big push here in the last 1,000 metres? We know how important this next 500 is.
Yeah, so around about 3 or so minutes left in this one. And we will have a new champion this year, Wallace Russell, the reigning champion of this event. She had to withdraw on day 1 due to illness, and she was 4th in the under-23 world champs by a very, very slender margin. I think it was about 8 millimetres or something was the difference that she missed out on a medal at World Under-23. So a new champion will be crowned here, and Lucy Theodore's had a very, very good middle of this race, and Celia Cowan just dropping back a little bit, and still right there is Jilly Roberts of ANU with Masters of UTS.
Yeah, and as you were saying, Owen, Wallace Russell, what a sculler, what a performance last year in the National Championships. and young, very much young in the under-23, so she's got a bright future ahead of her. So this is a real opportunity for these scullers to try and win a national championship with Wallace Russell not well this week. And at the moment, it's Lucy Theodore who is doing the best job. She's in lane 6, the Toowong Sculler, and she seems to be just ahead of the chasing pack, which includes Jilly Roberts from ANU, who's in lane 5, the blue and white Zooty, just to her stroke side or to her right. And then you can see Georgina Masters from UTS and Celia Cowan, who was ahead at the start of the race. She's slipped back and seems to be in 4th at the moment, unless there's a move here from Caitlin Douglas from Toowong. She's in lane 7 and was in 5th place a little earlier, so we'll come into view here. So it's Lucy Theodore, Jilly Roberts, Georgina Masters. No change in gold, silver and bronze at the 1500 metre mark from what it was at the halfway point. Celia Cowan has now slipped back a little further. Can she find something? We'll have to wait and see. Caitlin Douglas in 5th, Lucy Coleman 6th, and she's well back in 6th place, 5.70 seconds from 5th place, and then Utley and Reardon rounding out this field. But Lucy Theodore leading them in now towards the last 300 metres. Wallace Russell, the defending champion from Sydney Uni, unwell, couldn't attend this particular regatta, pulling out earlier in the week, as Owen mentioned a little earlier. And it's Lucy Theodore who is trying to claim the title. She's from Toowong Rowing Club, so to take the title away from New South Wales. But there's a move here from the ACT sculler, Jilly Roberts, who's in lane 5. Don't write her off. Or Georgina Masters. As I said, she finished in 4th place in this event last year. She finished in 4th place in this event in 2017. So can she find a way onto the dais? She would love to be at the top of the dais. We'll have to wait and see whether she can find her way into the gold medal position. She's a little further back at the moment, but leading them in now to the dark red boys in the last 100 metres. It is Lucy Theodore. She's led from about the first 500 metres through to this point. She's going to have to hold off a challenge from Jilly Roberts and also Georgina Masters, but still the gap seems to remain here for Lucy Theodore. Can she bring all of her might to the table in the last 50 metres? Look at this from Georgina Masters over on the far side. The UTS sculler is powering through. As I mentioned, she's finished 4th the last 2 years. And what about this from Georgina Masters inside the last 50? She may not get there. It's just going to go to Lucy Theodore, I think. We're going to need a photo, but I think it's just gone the way of Theodore. Georgina Masters put everything into that last 100 metres or so as she tried to pull back the advantage. 3rd place has gone to Jilly Roberts, but the lady who's finished in 4th the last 2 years may just miss out on gold. We'll wait and see, Owen.
Yeah, very, very close. I think she would have loved an extra couple of strokes in that one. I think it was the Toowong sculler, Lucy Theodore, that held on. Caitlin Douglas also came flying home to finish in 4th. So we'll await the official results on this one, or an update on the unofficial results. We do know that Jilly Roberts in 3rd place for ANU. In 4th was Toowong's Caitlin Douglas, then followed by Celia Cowan, the early race leader, who placed 5th. Alexandra Utley was 6th, Reardon 7th and Coleman 8th, but yeah, unofficial results have now been revised off the photo finish camera to Lucy Theodore. First, 805.27 and just 0.17 back to Georgina Masters of UTS in the silver medal spot, Jilly Roberts in the bronze medal position. Presentation of medals for the Under-21 Lightweight Men's Single Scull Championship of Australia, and the medals will be presented by Andrew Gearan, Life Member and Director of Rowing Australia. Third place and bronze medalist representing Mercantile Rowing Club, Eric Lowe. Coaches David Framano and Zachary Smith. Second place and silver medalist, representing Toowong Rowing Club, Miles Matheson. Coaches Kieran Dwyer and Leo Karadimitris. Gold medalist and Australian champion for 2019 from ANU, Hamish Harding. Coached by Nick Garrett. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champion and medalists. And the A final of the under-23 lightweight men's single scull is underway, and we have in lane number 1 from Toowong, David Carter. Lane 2 is North Esk, Connor Ryan. Oscar McGuinness of Adelaide is in lane number 3. Nathan Kennedy of ANU in lane 4. In lane 5, Tom Williamson of Toowong. Morgan Hodgson of University of Queensland is in lane 6. In lane 7, Michael McRae of UTS. Ethan Aird of University of Western Australia is in lane number 8.
And last year it was Leon Chambers, who we saw in the open men's single scull, who took it out. He's not in the event this year, obviously. He's from Sydney University, so no Sydney Uni rowers in this A final. As we see the B final wrapping up, and it's going to be victory the way of Till Witchman, who is from Adelaide Rowing Club, coached by Daniel Ralph. 4 scullers in this particular race, and it will be Kane Bullock from Banks, coached by Will Raven. He crosses in second place. Third will go the way of the man in lane 3, Colin Chapman from Pine Rivers, who is coached by Alan Borger. And in lane 7 is Max Partington from Corio Bay. He finishes in 4th. So that wraps it up. Till Winchman, the winner of the B final in the under-23 lightweight men's single. As we'll zoom back down the course. And I can tell you, as I said, Leon Chambers, the gold medalist in this race last year, not in the event this year, stepping up to the open men's single. Nathan Kennedy. We've got a few competitors out there who were in that under-21 lightweight men's single last year. And Nathan Kennedy, who you can see in lane 4 in the blue and white of ANU, he won the race last year in the under-21s, took out gold. And he's not in front at the moment. It's Morgan Hodgson who actually won silver. So look out for those two. Morgan Hodgson in lane 6, Nathan Kennedy in lane 4. It was Kennedy who won from Hodgson last year in that under-21 race. So will it be potentially a little bit of revenge for Morgan Hodgson? It was Rowan James from Swan River who finished 3rd, not in this race this year. And I can tell you the margin, if my maths is correct, as I do a bit of maths on the fly, it was about 0.78 of seconds, 0.78 seconds. So less than 1 second between Nathan Kennedy and Morgan Hodgson last year in the under-21 single, the under-21 men's lightweight single scull. So it's pretty tight at the moment. At the 1K, it was just half a second between them. Tom Williamson from Toowong in 3rd place, and then Oscar McGuinness in 4th, who was also in that under-21 single last year. He finished in 5th place, and Connor Ryan, who was 4th last year in the under-21 version of this race, he's in 5th. So those two were in the race, and they're in a similar position as to what they were last year. So their first year in the 23s, and they're looking all right, these boys who have stepped up. Michael McRae in exactly the same position as he was in the 21s last year. He's in 6th. David Carter 7th. Ethan Aird in 8th place. As we have a look at the top of the course, very tight from that far side across to the middle. And Nathan Kennedy and Morgan Hodgson. Lane 4 and lane 6. Once again, almost inseparable as they head towards the 1,500 metre timing hut. Has Nathan Kennedy just taken the advantage here, Owen? Owen will get a quick look at that. He has. So Nathan Kennedy, this is a ding-dong battle and a half, isn't it? Tom Williamson third, Oscar McGuinness fourth, Connor Ryan in fifth. Can't wait for this.
Yeah, and a much improved performance from Morgan Hodgson, who's a B finalist at the New South Wales State Championships only about 6 weeks ago. So he has really struck form at the right time of the season here, mixing it here amongst the medals for the A finals. But Nathan Kennedy will be very, very hard to beat. He's had a very, very good season, this guy.
So Kennedy leads with 500 metres to travel from Hodgson, and then Williamson, McGuinness, Connor Ryan from North Esk. Michael McRae was in 6th at the 1,500 metre, same position as he was at the 1K. David Carter in 7th. Ethan Aird in 8th place. That split for Kennedy, 5:21.09. So 300 metres, and it's Kennedy who you can see. He's the furthest to the right. And then you can say, well, furthest to the right in the middle of the course in lane 4 in those middle 3 lanes. And then you've got Morgan Hodgson, who is surging in lane 6, just having a little glance with 200 metres to travel. So it's Queensland up against the ACT for the second year in a row. It was in the under-21 lightweight men's single last year. This year it's in the under-23 event. Nathan Kennedy has a little glance across. They both know the fight that each of them have got. They finished less than a second apart last year in the under-21 race, and Nathan Kennedy has really, really lifted with 100 metres left. So gold in the 21s last year. Can he back it up in the 23s in 2019? It's looking promising for Kennedy. Hodgson is just struggling to go with him at the moment. And Nathan Kennedy, unstoppable once again. He gets gold in 2019 and backs up gold in that under-21 last year. Morgan Hodgson settles for silver for the second successive year. Third place goes the way of Oscar McGuinness, so we very pleased with that. He finished 5th last year in the 21s. He's 3rd and a bronze medalist in 2019. Tom Williamson has faded for 4th. Connor Ryan 5th, McRae 6th, David Carter 7th, Ethan Aird in 8th. But as you said, Owen, Nathan Kennedy was going to be difficult to stop, and he was. Too good in the end.
Yeah, so unofficial time, 7:10.42 for Nathan Kennedy. Morgan Hodgson placing 2nd and Oscar McGuinness in 3rd. Presentation of medals for the under-23 Lightweight Women's Single Scull Championship of Australia. And the medals will be presented by John Keogh, head coach of the Hancock Prospecting Women's National Training Centre. Third place and bronze medalist representing ANU, Jilly Roberts. Coached by Nick Garrett and Renee Domichens. Second place and silver medalist representing UTS Haberfield Rowing Club and the New South Wales Institute of Sport, Georgina Masters. Coaches Alex Field, David Geely and Hallie Chapman. Gold medalist and Australian champion for 2019, representing Toowong Rowing Club, Lucy Theodore. Coaches Leo Karadimitris and Kieran Dwyer. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champion and medalists. Underway in race 261. It's the under-23 lightweight men's coxless pair. Current title holders Toowong, and the field that we have in lane 3, Swan River, William Williamson and Michael Orton, coached by Neville Kempton. Lane 4, also Swan River, Patrick Bayra and Rowan James, coached by Mark Beer. And in lane 5, Tasmania University Bundaberg, Joseph Black of Bundaberg, Hamish Johnson of Tasmania University Boat Club, and their coaches Mark Stott and John Pressler.
And they're just over 60 seconds into this final. And the boys who won it last year from Toowong, David Carter and Tom Williamson, they were just in the last race in that under-23 lightweight men's single scull, so opting for the sculling boat this year instead of the sweep boat. And it's William Williamson and Michael Orton in lane 3 from Swan River, alongside Patrick Bower and Rowan James. They're both from those the WA club, and then the Tasmania University and Bundaberg Composite. I can tell you, Hamish Johnson from Tasmania University, he was in the boat which won silver last year. Those two coached by Mark Stott and John Pressler. I can tell you, he was alongside Sam Casey. So Sam Casey rowing for Tasmania University. So Johnson this year with Joe Black from Bundaberg. We'll see if he can go one better in 2019. But at the moment, it's Bower and James. Pat Bower, Rowan James, coached by Mark Beer from Swan River in the gold medal position. Williamson and Orton from Swan River in the silver medal spot. And then in third is the Tasmania University composite of Black and Hamish Johnson. This one, a straight final, no B final at all. Rowan, this, I should say Owen, this is I've combined rowing and Owen. How about that? This is a very niche area of rowing, isn't it? Lightweight, under 23 and a pair as well. So not surprising that there's a very small field.
Yeah, that's right. So a lot of the guys doing the single scull, but great to see Swan River with two pairs here and having a good tussle with the Bayra-James combination out in front. And with the lightweight men, so they've got a maximum they can weigh is 72.5 kilograms, and for the crew boats they need to average at 70, so the heaviest someone can be is 72.5, but if that's the case, the other one needs to be 67.5, so a bit of weight management for these two to do it as a team, and of course rowing the ultimate team sport, so these guys need to be sort of on top of that whenever they're racing.
Well, that's not fun at dinner. That wouldn't have been fun at dinner last night at all, or for probably the whole of this week as well. So for those boys, 70 kilos, it's not much at all, is it? So we see the 1K timing point approach, and it's Bower and James who are holding on to that lead and look to be extending it to Williamson and Orton. It's just over 6 seconds, the Swan River pair. And then in third place, and they look to be a decent margin back, is Black and Johnson. As I mentioned, Hamish Johnson, silver medalist in this race last year. May be difficult for him to achieve that again this year because it's 8.5 seconds nearly the gap in this under-23 lightweight men's coxless pair. And just a reminder today, lunchtime, 1:10 in the afternoon, so a little bit later today. And plenty on offer around the Sydney International Regatta, sponsored by Aon this year.
And the Row Union Marquee is open. So the Row Union Marquee opened at 11 a.m. this morning, where there's drinks on sale as well as cheese platters. So it's a great way to sit in the shade there, overlooking the last 150 metres of the race and enjoying a cheese platter and a beverage throughout the day. Some pretty great racing earlier on today, and I'm sure that'll continue on throughout the afternoon.
I can see those marquees. That's not bad, is it? Sit in the shade, have some cheese, and have some beverages as well. Not bad. As we see this race just tick over the 5-minute mark, and it's Bower and James who were ahead at the 1K. They're holding on to that lead as we approach the 1,500 metre mark, and we'll get those times through in just a few seconds. 5:12.86 is what that crew have gone through in there. The crew coached by Mark Beer, Patrick Bower and Rowan James. Rowan James actually a bronze medalist in the under-23 lightweight men's single last year. So he's done the opposite to the champions of this race last year, David Carter and Tom Williamson. He's moved from the single, the sculling boat, to the sweep boat, and he's currently well placed at the moment. Rowan James in that gold medal position. Williamson and Orton in second. Black and Johnson now well back in the third place. Tasmania University and Bundaberg. So with 250 metres to travel, Bower and James, as long as they can keep the boat moving straight and they can stay in the boat, they're going to be Australian champions. And Rowan James will be pleased with his decision to move from the sculling boat to the sweep boat. Strong finish from those two, holding on to about a 9-second advantage, rating at 36.5. So they are not easing off at all with 200 metres, 100 metres now as they approach the dark red boys, powering away from their club mates, William Williamson and Michael Orton. Those two coached by Neville Kempton, but it's going to be the crew coached by Mark Beer, Patrick Bower and Rowan James are going to take the under-23 lightweight men's coxless pair title to Western Australia. The West, the very best in this particular race, as Patrick Bower and Rowan James claim the Australian Championship. So he upgrades that bronze from last year in the single to a gold in the pair, Rowan James. And it will be silver going the way of William Williamson and Michael Orton. And third place is going to go the way of the Tasmania University composite, Hamish Johnson, silver medalist last year in this race. And Joe Black from Bundaberg Rowing Club finishing in third place. They don't get bronze, do they?
And unofficial results, Swan River, Bower and James in first place in 6:55.72, a winning margin of 14.9 seconds over their club mates from Swan River, William Williamson and Michael Orton, and Black and Johnston of Bundaberg, Tasmania University, third, a further 17.65 back.
Yeah, sure. You want to get the lunch first, don't you?
No, I was just because the lightweight women's single B finals on now, so I thought I may as well just go now.
Presentation of medals for the under-23 lightweight men's single scull championship of Australia, and the medals will be presented by John Keogh, head coach of the Hancock Prospecting Women's National Training Centre. Third place and bronze medalist representing Adelaide Rowing Club and the South Australian Sports Institute, Oscar McGuinness. Coached by Jason Lane. Second place and silver medalist representing the University of Queensland, Morgan Hodgson. Coached by Michael Russell. Gold medalist and Australian champion for 2019, representing the Australian National University Boat Club and the ACT High Performance Program, Nathan Kennedy. Coached by Nick Garrett. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champion and medalists. And we're just underway in the A final of the Open Lightweight Women's Single Scull. It's race 263, and it's for the Herald and Weekly Times Trophy. And we have in lane number 1 from Huon and the Tasmanian Institute of Sport, Eve Muir. In lane 2 from Toowong and the National Training Centre, Amy James. The defending title holder is in lane number 3, representing UTS and the National Training Centre, that's Sarah Pound. Heat winner from Western Australian Rowing Club, or West Australian Rowing Club, is Janelle Austin in out of lane number 4. The other heat winner from Huon and the National Training Centre is in lane 5, that's Georgia Nesbitt. Sophie Gerapatritis of UTS is in lane number 6. Alice Arch of Melbourne University Boat Club and the Victorian Institute of Sport is in lane 7. And in lane number 8 from West Australian Rowing Club, Susanna Gravestock.
So it is Sarah Pound from Georgia Nesbitt and Susanna Gravestock. After 500 metres of the open lightweight women's singles scull A final. The B final finishing in front of us as well, and it will be the lane 5 sculler there from the West End Rowing Club in New Zealand, Amy Robson, who takes the win in a few strokes' time from Megan Hester. And also Gemma Dane will round out the top 3 in the B final, it looks like. 5, 6 and 7, or 5, 7 and 6 it may be. Our winner goes across in first. That's Amy Robson from West End, the rowing club in Auckland, New Zealand. Moving up into second place late is Gemma Dane from Griffith University Surfers Paradise. And third will go to the Mercantile Sculler alongside her in lane 6 there. That's Megan Hester from Corio Bay's Tenille Linehan. So the B final results coming up there as they cross the line. In race 262, Amy Robson, a big win there in the B final, the open lightweight women's singles scull. The A final, however, is well and truly underway, approaching half distance in race 263. And Sarah Pound of the UTS club continues to lead from Huon. Georgia Nesbitt in second place, exactly a second between the two. UTS first, Huon second, and Toowong third through Amy James, sitting about 4.5 seconds further back. So 3:48.33 the time there for Sarah Pound, Georgia Nesbitt, Amy James, and Alice Arch there in fourth place. The Alice Arch and Sarah Pound have been selected together in the Australian lightweight women's doubles scull to go to World Cup regattas 2 and 3 in the middle of the year. World Cup 2 in Poznan in Poland, and World Cup 3 on a fairly new course in Rotterdam in the Netherlands, which is an hour or so away from Amsterdam. Rotterdam, the second biggest city in the Netherlands. And it continues to be Sarah Pound who leads this race by that margin, getting out towards half a length or so from Georgia Nesbitt. So Sarah Pound from UTS, the defending champion in the open lightweight women's single scull, racing for the Herald and Weekly Times trophy, which she won last year. Competition still coming there from the lane 5 sculler, Georgia Nesbitt, who's a sculling reserve at the moment on that Australian squad to travel overseas. And out in lane 7 still Alice Arch from the Melbourne University Boat Club and the Victorian Institute of Sport. And the scullers over towards the far side of the course. Amy James there in about 4th place as well. But our top 2 have gone through 1,500. It's very close together now between Georgia Nesbitt and Sarah Pound. Just 0.22 of a second after 1,500 metres. Nesbitt leading it in 5:42.46 in fact. So she has taken the lead off Sarah Pound with 500 metres to race. It was exactly a second to Sarah Pound at the 1,000-metre mark. Now 0.22 of a second to Georgia Nesbitt in lane 5, has assumed the lead in the open lightweight women's single scull final. So what has the defending champion got left in the tank here? We'll see whether Sarah Pound can bring that back over the closing now, about 300 metres of this race. And those two have pulled well clear of Amy James in 3rd place, Alice Arch 1.5 seconds further back in 4th, and Janelle Austin, Eve Muir, Susanna Gravestock and Sophie Gerapetritis. But it is still the sculler in lane 5 now, I would think, who's continuing to pull away. Georgia Nesbitt from Sarah Pound over in lane 3, who led the race for the first half at least, Sarah Pound, but doesn't quite seem to have the pace here to match Georgia Nesbitt in the closing strokes of the race. Amy James of Toowong in the blue boat towards the far side would be there in 3rd place. Alice Arch on this side in the colours of the Melbourne University Boat Club, likely to finish in 4th, you would think. And then in the centre of the course, the red of Janelle Austin from the West Australian Rowing Club as well. With the UTS sculler, Sarah Pound, desperately trying to pull back our race leader now from the Huon Rowing Club in Tasmania. Georgia Nesbitt is clear, and she has a clear water margin now inside the final 100 metres. So it will be a comfortable win to Georgia Nesbitt of Huon in the end, as she'll take the Herald and Weekly Times trophy away from Sarah Pound. Lane 5 gets the win. Georgia Nesbitt first for Huon. Second will go to Sarah Pound of the University of Technology, Sydney. 3rd place then will be the Toowong sculler, Amy James, over on the far side of the course. 4th on this side will be Alice Arch for Melbourne University. Very close for 5th, but lane 1 will just get up there. Eve Muir 5th and Janelle Austin in 6th place. 7th will be the other UTS sculler, Sophie Gerapetritis, and 8th place to Susanna Gravestock of the West Australian Rowing Club.
Confirming the results of the Open Lightweight Women's Single Scull A final. In 1st, Georgia Nesbitt, Huon and the National Training Centre. 2nd, Sarah Pound, UTS and the National Training Centre. 3rd, Amy James, Toowong and the National Training Centre. 4th, Alice Arch, Melbourne University and the Victorian Institute of Sport. 5th, Eve Muir from Huon and the Tasmanian Institute of Sport. 6th, Janelle Austin of West Australian Rowing Club. 7th, Sophie Gerapetritis from UTS, and 8th, Susanna Gravestock from West Australian Rowing Club. The finishing time, 7 minutes 36.82 seconds. The margins, 5.35 and 4.85. The presentation of medals for the Under-23 Lightweight Men's Coxless Pair Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by John Keogh, head coach of Hancock Prospecting Women's National Training Centre. Second place and silver medalists, Swan River Rowing Club. William Williamson. Michael Orton. The crew was coached by Neville Kempton. Gold medalists and Australian champions for 2019, Swan River Rowing Club. Patrick Burr. Rowan James. The crew was coached by Mark Beer. Ladies and gentlemen, please congratulate our 2019 Australian champions and medalists in the under-23 lightweight men's coxless pair.